In a series of tweets on Wednesday, President Donald Trump banned, quote, transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. While GOP Representative Doug Lamborn praised Trump's decision, fellow Republicans in Colorado, Ken Buck and Mike Kaufman, criticized the decision. Meanwhile, Aurora Police Chief Nick Metz, taking advantage of the opportunity, invited members of the trans community to join its department in a statement via Twitter. David, we have a situation here where you have something announced on Twitter, which we've already established as an official announcement from the president, but his own Joint Chiefs of Staff saying we're not doing anything, no change is going to happen until we get an official order from Secretary Mattis. And you also saw other Republicans come out against the idea. Kaufman and Buck were not alone in being Republicans being against the idea. Do you think there's a possibility that Trump retracts or never issues the official order, seeing the reaction?
Very possible. And Orrin Hatch, who has not over the years been a gay rights leader, also criticized the president's decision. Then the way it was, if you can call it a decision. Donald Trump is always saying how much he loves the military, loves the people in uniform, respects them so much, all that, and you know it seems to be sincere when he's saying that. But you got to follow through on that. And so, according to the data, there's maybe between 1,000 and 6,000 transgender people currently in the military, well, who have obviously, and they're there because they volunteered. So, whatever you're going to do on the policy, you should explain it in a coherent way. So, because these people are now wondering, am I going to get kicked out of the military? Are they going to reverse the standard? They let me in under one standard, now they're going to kick me out on another one. So he could have said maybe this is a policy we're going to have going forward, but it's not going to change for people who are currently enlisted. But there was no coherence. There's no there. The purpose of this was not really to affect the personnel policies of the United States Army, which is what a good commander-in-chief would be concerned about. It was about changing the conversation, dominating the day on Twitter, all the news talking about it, which they liked. You know, they think it can be a wedge issue in the Rust Belt states. And it probably, on the broader issue, probably is a winning issue for Trump based on the opinion polls. But again, how about, couldn't he have spent the day, instead of this kerfluffle, trying to sell his some health care plan? Again, he is, whatever else you can say about him, whether you agree or disagree with his policies, he's incompetent.
Joey, with Mike Kaufman being A, in a tough district, B, a Marine, his reaction did not surprise me. But when I first saw Ken Buck's reaction, I was a little surprised until I saw more about his past professional record and what he had done as DA in Weld County. Enlighten us on what you think about the reactions from the various Colorado Republicans. You have Kaufman, you have Buck, and you have Lamborn. I don't know what Tipton said.
Well, you know, it depends on who you're talking to. You know, my first reaction was, why? Why are we even talking about this? I didn't know this was an issue at all. But it depends on what base you're talking, or what constituency you're talking to. For Ken Buck and Doug Lamborn, they're talking to a red meat Republican constituency that would like this. But you know, I'm lucky enough to be friends with a lot of millennial Republicans. And this gay rights issue, you know, they're ready for it to be in the past. Gay rights and abortion is just not where Republicans under 35 are anymore. Religious liberty to a degree, but I think the more that the Republican Party stays mired in the politics of the past, the more they squander the generation and drive them, in turn, good conservatives into good moderates. So I think that's the price people pay. Ken Buck makes no secret about where he stands on the president. Doug Lamborn sure doesn't make any secrets about it. But does Doug Lamborn, with all those military installations in his district, is he hearing from military people that are saying that we need this? I haven't seen that the last few days. So who is Trump and who is Ken Buck and who are Doug Lamborn talking to? They're talking to the past.
Justine, I have to admit that this seemed like a standard art of the deal distraction. Rush was all the headlines. It gets knocked off the headlines with this. It's all about transgender military, which was not on anyone's radar until it happened with a tweet. Is this actual policy that's going to be changing a big argument, or is this distraction?
Definitely distraction. You have the health care, the biggest promise of Trump failing, and the repeal and replace failing. And then, you know, this is just another one of those moments. This is an issue that feeds to his people, to his base, the people who show up at rallies that would definitely get behind this in a time when he probably needs a boost right now. And so it was totally out of left field, not an issue we were talking about. I would have to say this is definitely another distraction from the White House to look away from the craziness of Russia, healthcare, the list goes on and on and on.
Patty, what did you think of the reactions from the Republicans in Colorado? We had the three ones we mentioned, Kaufman, Buck, and then Lamborn.
Pretty much what you'd expect. What no one expected was this tweet to come out. There's no motivation. It wasn't as though some person leading a platoon suddenly had to run aside and have a sex change operation. There was nothing pushing this. And I wish I thought that Trump actually had thought it through, like, oh, this will distract people. But I'm afraid he doesn't even have that much thinking in his head. I think it's just an impulse. He's like, whoa, this is a weird thing. Let's put it out there. He wasn't paying attention to the healthcare. He wasn't thinking this will take people's attention off Russia. And when you look at some of the people who've served in the military, so already they're showing their courage. They're volunteering to go serve in a war. It takes courage to come out and say, we are transgender too. We just did an interview with a former Marine, was in the service 20 years, transgender, came out living in Castle Rock. And what this means to someone who served their country like this, it's outrageous.